Hello and welcome to Firstpost Spotlight, where we bring you stories that matter to you from all across the world. From breaking news to the day's biggest controversies, we shed light on issues that shape our world. I'm Alison Lagrange, live from Durban, South Africa. Let's begin with the top headlines. The US and China agree to slash tariffs on each other's goods for 90 days in a major de-escalation of their trade war. US Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent says that both sides will cut tariffs by 115% from Wednesday. The Kurdistan Workers' Party announces its dissolution, saying it was ending its armed struggle against the Turkish state and drawing a line under its deadly 4-decade insurgency. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer vows to finally take back control of Britain's borders as his government unveiled policies designed to reduce immigration and to fend off rising support for the hard right. Taiwan conducts its first live firing of high-mobility artillery rocket systems, HIMARS, purchased from the United States as the self-ruled island upgrades its capabilities to repel a potential Chinese attack. And contenders for South Korea's presidency kick off their campaigns. The country will hold snap presidential election on the 3rd of June to choose Yoon Suk-yeol's successor following his ouster over an attempt to impose martial law. Hello and welcome. We begin with the latest from the Indian subcontinent. Tensions between India and Pakistan continue to keep the region on edge after India launched Operation Sindoor on the 7th of May in response to the 22nd of April Pahalgam terror attack. In the latest, the intervening night of the 11th and 12th of May remained largely peaceful across Jammu and Kashmir and other areas. The semblance of calm reinforced a recently agreed upon ceasefire, which Pakistan violated on the 10th of May, barely 2 hours after it was first agreed upon. Prime Minister Narendra Modi chaired a high-level meeting at his residence on Monday, attended by Defence Minister Rajnath Singh, External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar, National Security Advisor Ajit Doval, as well as the Chief of Defence Staff General Anil Chouhan. Now, all three service chiefs were also present in the meeting, as New Delhi continues to keep up with its anti-terror posture in and beyond the Indian subcontinent, especially in the wake of Operation Sindoor. Earlier this morning, while addressing a special briefing, the Indian Air Marshal AK Bharti said that India's fight is with terrorists, their support, infrastructure, and not with Pakistan military or people. The Air Marshal added that it is a pity that Pakistan Army chose to intervene and bat for the terrorists, which compelled us to respond. Now, the Indian military also showed the debris of a likely Chinese origin PL-15 air-to-air missile, which was used by Pakistan while targeting India. The wreckage of the loiter munitions as well as Turkish origin Sangar drones were also shown. Snubbing the Pakistani propaganda, the Indian Air Force said that the country's military bases as well as defence and offence systems continue to remain fully operational. At the same time, keeping up with India's posture as a responsible nuclear power, the Indian military denied the reports of striking an area previously reported to be housing Pakistan's nuclear facilities.
All our military bases, all our systems continue to remain fully operational and ready to undertake any future missions should the need so arise.
Measured, responsible and non-escalatory. This is how India has described its anti-terror Operation Sindoor. Even as the two sides maintain an uneasy calm along the line of control and the international border, the heightened state of hostilities will continue to remain in the spotlight for the time to come. The Indian Army has confirmed the elimination of at least 100 terrorists in a series of airstrikes carried out on terror camps in Pakistan and Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. With that, Operation Sindoor delivered an unprecedented blow to two of the most notorious terror groups that operate out of Pakistan, Lashkar-e-Taiba and Jaish-e-Mohammed. Our next report tells you how Operation Sindoor became the final nail in the coffin of the region's most deadly terrorists, all backed, nurtured and housed by the state of Pakistan.
Indian missiles spelled the end of time for some 100 terrorists in Pakistan and Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. Among them were 5 top terrorists of Hafiz Saeed's Lashkar-e-Taiba and Masood Azhar's Jaish-e-Mohammed. The first target, Mohammad Yusuf Azhar, stands out as the most significant one. He was senior terror operative of Jaish-e-Mohammed and the brother-in-law of the terror group's founder, Masood Azhar. He was a key figure behind the 1999 Indian Airlines IC-814 hijacking, which forced India to release Masood Azhar from prison in exchange for the lives of the hostages on board. Yusuf Azhar went on to run Jaish-e-Mohammed's largest terror training camp in Balakot, a facility that was targeted by the Indian Air Force in 2019 in response to the Pulwama attack. His elimination is now being hailed as one of the most crucial victories in India's war on terror. Terror target number 2, Hafiz Mohammed Jamil, another brother-in-law of Masood Azhar. Jamil was in charge of Jaish-e-Mohammed's headquarters in Bahawalpur, Pakistan, a site directly linked to multiple terror attacks on Indian soil, including the 2016 Pathankot Air Base attack and the 2019 Pulwama terror attack that claimed the lives of 40 CRPF personnel. Terror target number 3, Jaish-e-Mohammed's Mohammad Hassan Khan. Khan was deeply involved in coordinating cross-border infiltration with other terror operatives. According to the Indian Army, he frequented several terror training camps in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir that serve as launch pads for infiltrators sent across the line of control. Terror target number 4, Mudassar Khadian Khas. He managed the notorious Markaz Taiba, Lashkar-e-Taiba's headquarters in Muridke, Pakistan. It was under his watch that the 26/11 Mumbai attackers, including Ajmal Kasab and David Coleman Headley, received their training. His funeral told a story of its own, attended by the top brass of the Pakistani military. Wreaths were laid on behalf of Army Chief Asim Munir and Punjab's Chief Minister Maryam Nawaz. A state funeral for a state-sponsored terrorist. And finally, Operation Sindoor claimed the life of Khalid alias Abu Akasha, a senior Lashkar-e-Taiba commander known for orchestrating attacks in Jammu and Kashmir and for smuggling weapons from Afghanistan. His funeral in Faisalabad was once again attended by senior Pakistan Army officials, another grim reminder of Islamabad's open patronage of cross-border terror. With Operation Sindoor, India has carried out its biggest anti-terror crackdown in recent history. New Delhi has sent a message, loud, clear and unrelenting, to terrorists and their handlers in uniform. Terrorism against India will not go unpunished.
And now moving to the war in Europe, where a potential turning point in the Russia-Ukraine war may be approaching, as Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky announced he is ready to meet Russian President Vladimir Putin personally for peace talks in Istanbul this Thursday.
I will be in Turkey this Thursday, May 15th, and I am expecting Putin in Turkey personally.
I hope this time Putin will not look for reasons why he can't do something. We are ready to talk to end the war. Thursday, Turkey. President Trump supported it. All leaders support it.
The Ukrainian leader's unexpected statement came hours after US President Donald Trump urged Ukraine to immediately accept Putin's offer for direct negotiations in Turkey. Now, the latest developments come on the heels of a major diplomatic push from European leaders. Over the weekend, UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer, France's Emmanuel Macron, Germany's Chancellor Friedrich Merz, and Poland's Donald Tusk met in Kiev. Together, they issued a strong ultimatum to Moscow: agree to an unconditional 30-day ceasefire in Ukraine by Monday, or face massive new sanctions targeting Russia's energy and banking sectors.
In the event of a violation of the ceasefire, we have agreed that massive sanctions would be prepared and coordinated between Europeans and Americans.
President Donald Trump, however, undercut the plan, saying Ukraine should go ahead with the talks regardless of a ceasefire. Taking it to Truth Social, Trump wrote, "Have the meeting now." He further claimed this would reveal whether a peace deal was truly possible, and if not, allow Western leaders to plan their next move accordingly. Then, in a televised address on Sunday, Russia's Putin responded. He welcomed the idea of serious negotiations and suggested that talks in Turkey could lead to a new truce. However, he didn't acknowledge the 30-day ceasefire ultimatum or commit to halting attacks. Instead, he emphasized addressing the root causes of the conflict.
To resume direct negotiations, and I emphasize without any preconditions. We propose to begin without delay next Thursday, May 15th, in Istanbul, where they were held earlier and where they were interrupted. Moreover, a real truce, which would be observed not only by Russia, but also by the Ukrainian side, would be the first step, I repeat, to a long-term, sustainable peace, and not a prologue to the continuation of the armed conflict after the rearmament.
Now, for months, Ukraine and its allies have insisted that talks can only begin after Russia agrees to stop hostilities. French President Emmanuel Macron and German Chancellor Merz both reiterated that position, with the German Chancellor saying talks cannot begin until weapons fall silent.
At the end of this week, I'm also personally moved that, as the German Chancellor, I'm able to stand here today in this circle and, together with the Polish Prime Minister, the British Prime Minister, and the French President, to express not only our full solidarity and support to our friend and partner, the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, but also, in this difficult phase of a war that has been going on for over 3 years, on an almost historic day, to say that we stand firmly and remain firmly at Ukraine's side.
Meanwhile, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio will be in Turkey from Wednesday to Friday for an informal NATO summit, placing him in the country the same day the talks are set to begin. As Thursday approaches, the world watches closely. Will a face-to-face meeting between Zelensky and Putin bring peace, or expose just how far apart the two sides really are? And for our last story today, let's turn our attention to the Philippines, where voting has concluded for the 2025 midterm elections. Millions of Filipinos voted in the polls that will decide the fate of a long-running power struggle between the country's two biggest political dynasties, the Marcos and the Duterte families. Now, in these polls, over 18,000 positions are being contested, including those for mayors, governors, and members of the House of Representatives. However, the focus is squarely on the 12 Senate seats that are up for grabs. A total of 64 candidates are competing for 12 available seats in the Senate. The Senate race pits candidates backed by President Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr. against those supported by Vice President Sara Duterte, who is the daughter of the jailed former President Rodrigo Duterte. If Marcos's Senate picks win more seats, it increases his chances of impeaching Sara Duterte for alleged misuse of state funds. Now, this would bar her from seeking the presidency in 2028. The once strong alliance between the Marcos and Duterte families has dissolved into a bitter rivalry. Allegations of misused funds, unexplained wealth, and even threats against the president have fueled the conflict. Sara Duterte has accused President Marcos of compromising national sovereignty. Meanwhile, President Marcos has denied any involvement in a vendetta against the Duterte family. The former Philippine President, Rodrigo Duterte, who is currently detained by the International Criminal Court in The Hague, is also on the ballot for mayor in his hometown of Doval. He faces charges of crimes against humanity related to his brutal war on drugs, a campaign that resulted in thousands of deaths. The ICC has scheduled Duterte's next hearing for the 23rd of September. Despite his legal troubles, Duterte remains eligible for the mayoral position, as the Philippine law only disqualifies candidates with local criminal convictions. His enduring popularity in Doval, where he served as mayor for 2 decades, suggests he could win the election. Now, the Duterte political dynasty's influence is evident, with his son, Sebastian, running for vice mayor, and another son, Paulo, seeking re-election to the Congress. Opposition is also re-emerging in Doval, with Carlo Nograles and his sister Margarita challenging the Duterte family's dominance. The outcome of the election remains uncertain, especially considering Rodrigo Duterte's legal situation and potential difficulties in assuming office if he wins. Now, this election is seen as a key test for Marcos's policy agenda and his influence leading up to the 2028 presidential election. For Sara Duterte, her political survival is on the line, with a potential impeachment trial looming. Now, we'll continue to follow the results as they come in. Stay tuned for further updates. And that's all we have on the show for today. We will see you again tomorrow at the same time. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned to Firstpost.
From breaking news to the day's biggest controversies, shedding light on the world's top headlines, detailed analysis on the stories that matter the most to you. Catch it all on Spotlight at 6 p.m. India time.